welcome to the second part of Dailies today, this morning on Nigeria Info 99.3. I'm Sheriff Quadry. I'm being joined right now from the FCT. Majeed Dahiru, he joins me virtually. Dr. Majeed, good morning to you. Thank you for joining.
Good morning, my brother Sheriff.
Right, now let's get to it. There's this story that is common to most of the papers this morning. I have it in the Daily Trust. I have it in the Vanguard newspaper. I have it in the Nigerian News Direct. It's also here in the Punch newspaper. And it's about Jonathan and Obi's meet. What do you think could be cooking, Majeed?
Anything is possible in politics. So I don't know, honestly. I am sure Peter may have heard that Jonathan is being projected by some powerful interest groups across the country as an alternative to the current president. You know, there's this consensus now that the presidency must remain in the South for 8 years.
Right.
So having done 4 years, if you want to change a Bola Tinubu that is from the South, it is imperative that the Southerner who will exceed 4 years be brought in. And so why Peter has pledged 4 years, given the opportunity, Jonathan has 4 more years to go. So even if he wanted to go beyond 4 years, which might not distort the North-South zone agreement, he can't even do it because the Constitution does not allow him to do so. So people are feeling that his is more certain. I mean, his option is the most certain one. And since he's been tried, and tested before and somewhat trusted by, we've seen the best and the worst of him, so one can really relate. A lot of people feel that he should be the one, particularly from the conservative North.
Okay.
So I'm sure, I don't know, probably we may have gone to have a tete-a-tete with him to say, look, are you considering this thing? How do we go about it? I don't know. I'm not privy to the discussions,
Right.
but I'm sure it's not all related to this particular issue. But one thing I can tell you is that both of them have mutual respect for each other, very deep mutual respect and admiration for each other. And I am sure that going forward, they may have a way of, harmonizing their interests going forward. So I believe it's a friendly banter by two brotherly and friendly politicians.
Indeed. Do you suppose APC should be concerned?
Yes, of course. The APC should be concerned, not just because of this meeting. Performance alone is enough concern for them. But this meeting also is something to be concerned about. But for me, in being concerned, what the APC should do is to simply improve on good governance. You see, improve on good governance. Don't begin to look for subterranean means to throw in some spanners into the works. No. That will be futile. Simply improve on good governance. If we had good governance, improved governance from what was inherited from the last administration by the current one, I'm sure nobody will be talking about bringing back Jonathan or even Fidel Obi at this time. But the fact is, Nigerians are still yearning for improvement in their lives, in the quality of lives, safety of lives, and the sanctity of their property. So that is why people are exploring options and alternatives. So in reacting to this, they should simply begin the improvement in good governance right now.
Let's talk about another big story in the papers, virtually all the papers today, and that is about the Dangote Nupeng situation. At some point, we thought that particular situation has been laid to rest, especially because DSS had to intervene. But right now, the papers are carrying all kinds of headlines regarding that story. Daily Trust has it as this Nupeng Dangote deal collapses. In the Vanguard, it's reported as Dangote Nupeng bicker over alleged breach of pact reached at DSS headquarters. If you go to the Nigerian News Direct, Nupeng threatens renewed strike as Dangote Group allegedly breaches agreement. And then on the front page of the Punch newspaper, it's a major story there. Nupeng Dangote clash as tanker drivers deal collapses. Majeed, what's your reaction to this? Did you see this coming?
No, my position remains the same. When this issue first came up, I think on Monday or so.
Yes.
My position was simple. This was an unnecessary overreach of the mandate and the influence of Nupeng as a union. And Nigeria at this time cannot afford this level of distraction based on group interest, not national interest. Nupeng in this instance is not asking for increment in wages of workers. They're not asking for improvement in welfare. They're not asking for anything that is nationalistic in nature. They are seeking to poach workers from a privately owned company. And they want to drag the entire country to by down in possible weaponization of your powers as a union. And this is why some people actually decide most times to dissolve unions. So to avoid this level of irresponsibility down a slippery slope. Look, let me tell you Nupeng one thing today. Without Dangote and other investors like Dangote, there won't be Nupeng in the first instance. Because you require this level of investment to employ people in the first place. Before they can even unionize. Nigeria, as we speak, is in their need of all the investments it can get across the entire value chain. And while we're at it, while somebody has decided to invest hugely in a sector that the government has not even been able to pull off, and you're now bringing unionism to this, I think it's unfortunate. I think the bank should be called to order. And if the bank insists on this irresponsibility, the bank should be proscribed. Because this will scare away potential investors into this sector, meaning they will have to start contending with unions and start getting their money. I mean, is anybody thinking at all? We have severally told Dangote, for instance, it can be a monopoly to allow importation by other players. Fine. And he has gradually complied with that. What you say, you cannot force his workers to join your union. And let me say this, if you don't insist on going ahead with this, it will diminish his influence, because by the time Dangote stands his ground and moves to the market massively with his investment in the downstream sectors he's trying to go into now, it will render Nupeng irrelevant, because he has the capacity truly to distribute across the country. We've seen it with the cement factory. We've seen it with the sugar factory. So this entire exercise is unnecessary. This is not relevant. Nobody has complained of unfair trade practices or labor practices by Dangote Industries. Nobody. Dangote Industries workers or refinery workers have not come out to say, we want to join Nupeng. And Dangote says we shouldn't join Nupeng. The moment you apply to work in Dangote, for instance, Dangote refineries or any of his oil and gas concern, you are aware that his workers are not in any union, or that at least they're not in Nupeng. And you apply to work, and they give you the conditions and terms of service. I accepted it. This is a free market enterprise. Nigeria is suffering from unemployment and underemployment. So when somebody gets a good job somewhere, at least to manage to stay afloat in this economy, you are trying to jeopardize this investment that provides such a level of investment, of employment, on the basis of unionism, and making a mountain out of a molehill. I think it's irresponsible. And the moment you call the bluff of Nupeng, Nupeng cannot hold a behemoth like Dangote refinery by the balls and hold it to ransom. No, it's unacceptable. It's not.
All right. If I may add very quickly, Dangote refinery will begin direct supply of PMS free of charge on Monday next week.
It's a game changer for us, for Nigerians.
Yeah.
That is one of the good aspects of the regulation. Again, I may not entirely agree with the regulation, but it means he wants to abolish the arbitrage in terms of trucking. What is my concern is how I can buy this petrol at a cheaper rate. That's all. That's my business as a citizen. If Dangote has found a means to do it without recording a loss, so be it. Others will innovate. Others should take a deep dive and innovate and come up with their own solution that can beat or outsmart Dangote on the market. That's what free market enterprise is all about. They all signed on to PIA. They did not expect that people will be free to participate. And I commend him for the first time. I'll be commending Dangote for something that is very ingenious.
Going by the advertorial that Dangote put in the papers this morning, he will be selling the petrol at 820 naira to marketers directly and with free delivery. And he is proposing that marketers in the southwest should sell a liter of petrol at 841 naira, per liter. And in Abuja, Delta, Rivers, Edo, and Kwara, it will be 851 naira to a liter of petrol. How? What's what's your reaction to this? How disruptive is this new price?
Well, for me, this is the best we can get from a regulated economy. We have fierce competition, can continuously drive down prices within certain thresholds. Even though, no matter how hard Dangote tries to bring down the price of this
Yeah, yeah.
product, it cannot go below certain levels of price because of certain factors. Foreign exchange is one of them. For instance, as long as forex is still at 1.5, a little bit 1.5, you cannot buy petrol reasonably below certain levels that Dangote is trying to do now. As long as, well, maybe Dangote is still getting crude on the basis of Naira for crude. Maybe that's also one of the things is able to come this low. For me, once Dangote is able to flood the market effectively and successfully, I've always advocated for the introduction of subsidy. Subsidy should be introduced now from the production side for Dangote through the sale of crude oil to Dangote at a highly discounted rate.
Okay.
Far below the global market rate.
Okay.
Because without restoring that energy security, that affordability component of energy security through subsidy for petrol, which drives our economy, Nigeria will continue to be in economic crisis that we cannot get out from. So now it's time to restore subsidy to Dangote. So Dangote refinery needs to be subsidized. And other refineries all over the world are also being subsidized through discounted sale of crude to him for domestic refining and consumption. It is imperative now. And it will be cheaper, it will be easier to manage. And Dangote said, I can track all of my supplies across this country and not can cross the border. So what are we waiting for?
Okay, all right. Let's move on to our next story this morning, and it's about the PDP. There's this story on page 9 of the Vanguard newspaper. 2027, unite or lose presidential bid. Ajibade warns PDP. The National Legal Advisor of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, Kamadin Ajibade, has warned that the party could lose the 2027 presidential election if it fails to overcome its internal divisions. Dr. Majeed, talk to me. How has PDP been able to manage their internal crisis? Have they been able to manage it at all? Will they be able to manage it?
I think Ajibade is being over-optimistic when he talks about not winning the election in 2027. What PDP should be starting to do now is whether they're able to field a candidate at all for that election. That is the situation now at hand. The PDP has not been able to manage this crisis properly, no, at all. In fact, first, they mismanaged the entire process when they failed to zone to the south, when it was appropriate to do so. And like we predicted,
this network today is dealing with us.
We are zoning to the south. So we saw that until they suddenly came up and said we are zoning to the south. And that has sort of put a bit of, it's like a first aid, to an ailing individual to show that more, medical interventions can save it and revive it, so to life. But apparently there's a problem. You see, so someone like former Governor Wike and now Minister Wike, Minister of City, he has pledged support for the president. Now, I've always said that the PDP has a Wike problem. But this Wike problem was created by Atiku. You see, Atiku happened to the PDP and it developed the Wike problem. So Atiku caused the Wike problem, essentially. But that problem is still with the PDP. Wike will not want to see the PDP. And this is the reality. This is real politics. Wike, as long as he has influence in this party, will not want the party to feel a formidable candidate to challenge President Tinubu, a man he has pledged support for, even ahead of the man's own declaration of second term. So you see the movement around Jonathan, around Obi. Wike is not sleeping as well. So the best scenario for PDP will be true. Or let's say no, two scenarios. One, the best one will be if Wike has his way with the PDP, because he has talked about the fact that this commission might not hold, there could be legal cases and all that and all that. If somehow his demands, he has about 6-point demands, if they are acceded to, it means Wike will be strengthened to determine the outcome of the convention nationally. If that be the case, Wike will put in place a new national working committee of the PDP that will be entirely answerable to him. And in that case, at best, they will field a very weak candidate that will serve as a placeholder for President Tinubu. Now, if Wike does not have his way, I believe and suspect and think that Wike might create such a crisis in the PDP that will leave the party embroiled in a prolonged legal tussle that will render the party invalid for any candidate. So the PDP, as a worst case scenario, might not have a candidate going to 2027 if we can have his way at this stage of negotiations. But if he has his way, the best thing the PDP can hope to have is to have a very weak presidential candidate that will serve as a placeholder for President Tinubu, at least on the platform of the PDP. So for winning the election, I don't think PDP is in the race to win this election. It's no longer, it's far-fetched, really. It will take a miracle to sustain the PDP to the level where it can win an election.
I mean, that would take me to our first story about Jonathan and Obi's prospect for the PDP. These two gentlemen, they know, they see, they can feel what is happening in the PDP. They also know the Wike factor in the PDP. What does this mean? What does this mean for... because the both of them is looking like the both of them, I mean, we don't know. Again, you said we're not there when they had this talk. So, I mean, the both of them, it look as though any of them may just be the next PDP's presidential candidate in 2027. But they can all see what is going on. How can they approach it? Are they able? Do you think that they will be able to combat that Wike factor in the PDP?
No, they cannot. It's too late. Wike is entrenched within the party. What it takes to influence a party in Nigeria, Wike has a lot of money and patronage to influence political party decisions in the Nigerian context. Wike has got that in abundance. He's the FCT minister. Even if he's cash strapped, what he needs to do is to mix from few allocations of land in prime areas and choice areas, and things, will move for him. So they know, and that is why it's beginning to look unlikely that these two gentlemen might take the gamble of going to the PDP. At this stage, it's still looking unlikely. Although it will depend on how the other factors within the PDP, the governors and all that, how they're able to wrestle the party from Wike successfully, which is going to be a tall order. You see, the difference between the Wike and the PDP is like, that house girl of yours, that you as the Oga, sometimes you used to have inappropriate joke and, relationship with. So in the Nigerian parlance, she has seen you finish. As in, she has seen all. Sometimes she mistakenly, if you want to assert your authority as the father of the house, she will define you in a way that nobody can explain. Because she knows something about you that others don't know, and you know that she knows what you know that she knows. So the PDP and Wike is a situation of syphilis. Wike has seen the PDP finish, as in, he knows he has seen it all. Wike will tell you that there's nobody in the PDP as it is today, except the governor of Zamfara, does not benefit from his magnanimity. He tells you, and nobody can come out and say no. So he has served all of their interests, sort of one way or the other. So he holds it against them and weaponizes it for his own interest. And not because the PDP refused to reform over these years, has refused to reform and transform into a true political party. Now, with the development of such tendencies that Wike is now thriving on. That is the reality. So, Goodluck Jonathan and Peter B. will be careful weighing the PDP to be sure that they've been able to solve the Wike problem. Otherwise, it will be a risky game for them to actually decide to throw in their heart into the ring on the platform of the PDP.
I mean, that looks like a tall order already. And like you said, they shouldn't even be considering winning any election this time. It's like they have a whole bunch of house cleaning to do this period and even for the 2027. But let's take a look at another party, which is also embroiled in one of these things. I guess politicking has started towards 2027, and political actors have put on their caps to get into the ring for this fight. We're talking about the ADC. So this particular story is also in virtually all the papers this morning. In The Guardian, ADC split deepens as faction claims court barred Mark Aregbesola. You find this story as well in the Vanguard newspaper. ADC leadership battle to remove Mark Aregbesola continues. Monday is right there. In the Nigerian News Direct, confusion in ADC over court judgment on legitimacy of Mark Aregbesola and Aregbesola legitimacy. Dr. Majeed, what in your opinion do you think is happening? How did they get anything wrong? I'm talking about the Atiku faction. Let's borrow the word for now of the ADC when they were about coming into the party.
Again, this was looking like a bullish takeover. I won't say hostile, I'll say bullish. When you come with all the heavyweights into a party and just decide to take over the entire structure from top to bottom. Yeah, with the agreement of the apex leadership of the party, led by Chief Ralph Musu. But that will not be without his product. I remember when we were forming this adopt the ADC. I had asked the question and I said, have they consulted Nobi Katiku, the presidential candidate of the ADC? Because I know anybody who's Katiku knows that if you're not part of this arrangement, you fight it. I mean, I asked that question. I'm like, did you guys consult this person? Anyway, we don't know how that will end. But I know that the enemies of this coalition, or the rivals rather of this coalition, are going to try as much as possible to throw partners in the works as well, using both judicial interventions and otherwise. So it is not altogether unexpected. But the fundamental problem here is this: the inability of the Nigerian political class to even build a political party and nurture it. For instance, Obi has no business being in ADC. Obi should have been in Labour Party. If a Labour Party would have been the best option for the entire Nigeria as an alternative to the establishment politics we are playing today. You know why?
Why?
The kind of politics we're playing is one that is embodied in principle, though not in practice, by the Labour Party. Why? The Labour Party is owned by the organized labor movement in Nigeria. And I had always suggested that, look, we need to move away from our identity-driven politics, which has patronage and corruption as its reward system, to one that is driven by economic interest groups, such that the reward for political participation will be good governance for the majority of the people. How do I mean? If you look at the NLC and other affiliate groups, they form a natural political structure as members of the various economic interest groups, teachers union, PEG we just talked about, all of them. So it will be easy for their party to simply harmonize the charter of the man into a manifesto and run with it. So the nurse in Karanamoda and the nurse in Bayelsa, in Uruguay, will understand that they now want tribe as a nurse, as nurses, and that the policy of this incoming government has spelled out certain things that will improve their economies without to patronage, where they are all working. The same thing with farmers, the same thing with drivers, the same thing with all other interest groups. This would have formed the bulk of the structure naturally for the Labour Party. But unfortunately, there was no alignment between the candidate, Mr. Peter Obi, the party itself, and the organized labor movement going into that election. So Obi ran largely on his personality and gained support based on his personality. While members of the union, whose charter were not ingrained into his manifesto per se, also decided to go in disparate ways. So the corrections, what should have happened was that, having realized this, between 2023 and now, as the leader of the party, he should have built the party along this line, so that by 2027 it would have been more formidable than it was before. So in addition to his own personal following, as a man that is perceived largely to be better than the lot, that organic structure of the organized labor movement would have come in as a national advantage for them to move the base. But that has not happened. Now, he is now associated with the ADC, a party that is fractured and that is also not holding post for his candidacy, because from what I'm seeing about the ADC, it is not so different from the PDP and the APC. So for the primary elections of the ADC, it's going to be dollar rain. It's going to be the same process that we've seen in these other two parties. Because essentially what you have in the ADC are people that are quarreling among themselves, taking a stand away from the mainstream to form the ADC. Otherwise, most of the people in the ADC are from the two other parties. As we speak, the ADC are not able to come up with any tangible solution to any of our problems, in terms of manifesto, in terms of policy proposition. Nothing. We are not, as a democracy, that brain box is supposed to be our democracy, which is the political party system. It's in display in Nigeria. So don't be surprised too that because of this malfunction in the political party system in general, the ADC might end up like the PDP, not having candidates. Or if they would have, it will be so embroidered in crisis that it will be weakened before the election proper. Because those that are trying to derail the party they're not relenting at all. They're not at all. Multiple court cases everywhere. And so they are going to make sure they do all they can to derail the party. So the problem is, how come we're not able to form parties from the base, grow it organically, and let it blossom? Why do we have to go and hijack and impose our own structures on existing structures, and then people are not going to court to challenge this bullish takeover?
Indeed. Dr. Majeed, thank you so much. We are out of time. Thank you for joining us today. It's been quite brilliant listening to you. We'll see you again on Monday.
Thank you very much, sir.
All right. Lagos, there you go. This is where we'll leave it for this morning. Thank you for being a part of it. But we're not done yet. Open Mic Friday continues.
7 p.m. Don't knack, na yellow clock be that.
Yes, so better don't come as the MTN Mega Billion promo don't land, and your number fit win up to 5 million naira jackpot every Monday to Friday, and up to 10 million naira jackpot every Saturday.
99.3 Nigeria Info. We are more than just radio. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at Nigeria Info FM. Check us out on Facebook at Nigeria Info 99.3. Follow us on Twitter at Nigeria Info FM and on Instagram at Nigeria Info FM Lagos for live updates as it happens. 99.3 Nigeria Info.